Moderator, General Assembly, Lynn Macmillan, 516, Vice Chair of the Pension Trustees. I have the privilege to present the report of the Pension Trustees, and I wish to start by conveying the apologies of the Chairman of the Pension Trustees, Stuart Stephen, who very much regrets that he's unable to be with us today. That's the reason you have to put up with me instead. My task over the next few minutes is a challenging one. It's to make the subject of pensions so enthralling that you will all be on the edge of your seats and that you won't want me to stop. Wish me luck with that one. I can, however, start with good news, which is always welcome. The Church of Scotland defined benefit schemes for which the trustees have responsibility are all in a very financially sound position, being in surplus and being even more healthy than they were at the end of 2022. This means, in essence, that the amount of money held by the schemes is sufficient or more than sufficient to pay the anticipated pensions of all the members. And the figures can be found in section 1.1 of our report. Section 1.2 of the report gives details of the discretionary increases which the trustees have been able to apply to benefits in the ministers' schemes. As will be seen from our report, the trustees continue to have a strong focus on responsible investment, and this is an area which is monitored frequently to ensure that our investment policy continues to deliver the best possible returns whilst also being as sustainable and as green as possible. National and international events continue to affect the volatility of financial markets, and the prospect of a general election sometime between now and January of next year will add to fiscal uncertainty. Nevertheless, the low-risk approach taken to investment by the trustees in conjunction with our financial advisors means that going forward, we expect that the assets of the scheme will match the liabilities. The trustees have spent considerable amounts of time over the last few months considering what the long-term strategy should be for the schemes. Changes in strategy that could be considered for securing the schemes even further, what we call de-risking, include moving to a buy-in, where a portion of the scheme's assets can be transferred to an insurance company, which reduces exposure to risks such as longevity, interest rates, etc. A further step would be to move to buy-out, where there is a complete transfer of all the trustees' obligations to an insurance company and the schemes are wound up. The trustees have not made any decisions as yet on whether de-risking is the way forward for some or all of the schemes. A working group with representatives of the Church as the employing agency and the Assembly trustees has been set up in the last few months to consider all aspects of any strategic changes that might be possible. And this group will also consider whether running on some, or all of the schemes in their present form is in the best interests of the scheme members. The Chair of the Trustees and myself have held regular positive meetings with the Church's Chief Operating Officer and General Treasurer to discuss both strategic and operational matters, and these two individuals have also been able to attend some of our meetings so that we can discuss issues of mutual concern in a collaborative way. All pension schemes are currently facing a number of challenges due to changes in legislation and increasing requirements from the pensions regulator. Current work is being undertaken to look at how the Church of Scotland schemes conform to a new code of practice which came in recently. This, in effect, consolidates a number of previous codes on different areas of operation. We are confident that we are doing most of the things that are required by the code, but we still have to demonstrate this by ensuring that all our procedures are fully documented and this will involve a significant amount of additional work. Following this, we will be required to do a further body of work in preparation for pensions dashboards, which is a government initiative which will change how savers access their pension facts and figures, allowing people to see what they have in their various pensions, including their state pension, in a single place online at any time they choose. Turning now to good governance, we undertook an exercise last year to review the provision of audit services of our schemes. We were disappointed that only a very few audit firms were interested in tendering for the contract, one of which was our existing auditor. We asked all those firms tendering to provide us with written details of their proposals with costs, etc. And we then had face-to-face interviews with 2 firms, again, one of which was our existing auditor. The interview panel was satisfied that our existing auditor offered the best proposal for our scheme, and they were therefore reappointed. This year, we will be undertaking a review of the provision of legal services to the trustees, again down to good governance, and just to reassure you that we retain the greatest confidence in our current legal advisors, Burness Paul. We are very aware that for many people, the subject of pensions is one which may come into the category of too difficult to think about. But we would urge everyone to try and take a more proactive view. Maybe you are like the person who said, "One day I'm going to retire and live off my savings. What I'm going to do on the second day, heaven knows." Ten years ago, I was one of those people. I knew I had some pension provision, but I didn't really understand what that would give me when I retired, or how I might improve my future benefits by making additional contributions for existence. And now, here I am presenting the pensions report. Our fantastic team in 121 George Street, led by Jane MacLeod, our pensions manager, will give you information and guidance and set out various options available to you. They are not allowed to give you regulated financial advice, but they can tell you what your options are and what you might consider. What they can't tell you is what you should do. Additionally, if your options are still not clear to you, or if you have other pensions to take into account, we would urge you to consider using the government's free-to-use PensionWise advisory service. This is available to anyone over 50 with a UK-based defined contribution pension pot. PensionWise can also explain when you may benefit from regulated independent financial advice, such as when your financial affairs are complex or you feel you need help with your wider finances. You can also go straight to an independent financial advisor, but do consider visiting the Citizens Advice website first, as they have a good guide on how to find an IFA and how to approach your first meeting with them. Unfortunately, there is some not so good news. Over the last few years, there have been a number of changes to legislation affecting pensions, and some of this has had the unintended consequence of giving unscrupulous people even more opportunities to operate pension scams. Sadly, there are stories every month in the press of someone who has been robbed of their life savings or their whole pension pot by one of these often very clever scams, which can sound extremely convincing. The most important thing to remember is that an offer which looks too good to be true probably is. If someone approaches you and tells you that they can give you a fantastic return on your money if you move to their scheme, or that you should transfer your pension pot to an unknown bank in a far-off location and that you must do it within 24 hours, you should always, always take independent and reliable advice at the first opportunity. Once again, we would urge you to contact our pensions team, and if warning bells ring with them about an offer you have received, they can certainly suggest ways in which you can get good, professional and accredited advice and support. Over the last year, a number of trustees have retired, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank them all for their hard work and dedication. The healthy financial position of our schemes is in large part due to the insight and expertise that these individuals have provided to the board over the years. We have been very fortunate in being able to recruit some highly experienced and skilled individuals to replace them, some of whom are here in the hall today or are watching online. And we look forward to working with them as we face the new challenges that will inevitably arise. We currently have one trustee vacancy for the Minister's scheme, and if anyone here or watching online would like to be considered for this, please contact myself or Jane MacLeod, our pensions manager. We're a very friendly group, and full training is given to new trustees to equip them for the role. Moderator, I am not a commissioner, so please may I ask the Principal Clerk to move the deliverances.
I so move.
Seconded. Thank you. I've got notice of two questions, Ralph Bletcher and Elspeth Mackay. So Ralph first of all, please. Is that the bar? Hope he comes into assembly all the time. Ralph.
Ralph Bletcher, number 190. This question really falls between this report and the report of the Assembly's Trustees that we read on Monday concerning pension schemes. Can you tell me if the pension scheme management in Edinburgh have the capacity to answer administrative queries in respect of the defined contribution schemes? I realise there are different administrative requirements between defined contribution schemes and defined benefit schemes, and I think a little bit of clarity here for those who are on the different schemes would be helpful.
Thank you very much for your question, Ralph. As you say, the DC schemes are run by Legal and General, and we don't have any responsibility for them. However, we have had discussions with the Chief Officer and the General Treasurer about providing some administrative support for these schemes. This would not, of course, involve any kind of financial advice, but the pensions team could assist members by advising them how to contact Legal and General, particularly through the use of the members' portal. And they could also give advice on how to contact PensionWise, etc., as they do for our own schemes. This would have the distinct advantage for scheme members that there would be one single point of initial contact for any pension queries. There are, however, resource implications, and we understand that when the Church has assessed what these might be, we may be able to proceed with this provision, and we look forward to hearing further on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the other questioner was online and has disappeared. Does that mean... Oh, Elspeth, please speak.
Moderator.
You disappeared
Yep,
off my computer screen, but not the big screen.
That's moderator 366 Elspeth Mackay. That's because I withdrew it because it's actually quite similar to Ralph's question. I think when doing the reports for the General Assembly, we really need to make it utterly clear that it actually just applies to the, now I always get this wrong, the defined benefit pensions, because those of us who don't actually have a defined pension scheme with the Church of Scotland, I understand that it actually closed some 10 years ago. So I think really we need to make it utterly clear to commissioners now and in the future that this is actually only applying to the old pension scheme and not the new pension scheme. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong.
Thank you very much, Elspeth, for providing that clarity. You are indeed right. The pension trustees have responsibility for the defined benefit schemes, which closed in 2013. And from the 1st of January 2014, the defined contribution schemes were set up, both for ministers and for staff. and we have responsibility for the defined benefit schemes which are closed. Legal and General has the financial responsibility for the defined contribution schemes which started in 2014.
Right, thank you. If we then move to receiving the report. And section 2, oh, sorry. And online, and section 2. And online, and the deliverance as a whole. Right, thank you very much.